Welcome everybody back to Friar Talk. Today, we're going to be doing our first trade rumor proposal episode on an individual player. We're going to be doing 3 of these this week. We're going to start out with Josh Hader today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Blake Snell. And lastly, we're going to talk about Juan Soto. So we're going to be going through all 3 of those guys this week. So if you're not subscribed, hit those up. We're going to have these all out in the next couple days. We kind of did it in order. That's how we're releasing these. Josh Hader, the most likely guy to get traded. Blake Snell, the second most likely guy to get traded. And we don't think Juan Soto is going to get traded. We find it very unlikely. However, it's always a good conversation to talk about, an MLB superstar potentially getting traded and kind of looking into who could go after him. I think Josh Hader is a very interesting case because for him, I don't think there's going to be a crazy market. I mean, you look around the league of who are good teams, and for a lot of these guys, we're going to be talking about the Orioles for both Snell and Soto, right? They're not going to trade for Josh Hader. They have Felix Bautista. They're pretty set in the bullpen. They're good in that aspect. But there are 3 teams, in my opinion, that are kind of contenders for Josh Hader. These guys are going to be the Braves, the Rangers, and the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, the Rays, I don't think are going to go after him just because they go committee by closer. They're not a team that really believes in paying a closer or going after a closer. They kind of take it situation, which honestly we've kind of talked about the Padres potentially doing more, and we hope that would be the case. They don't really do it that much. So I think the big 2 ones are going to be potentially the Braves or the Rangers trading for him. And I'll start it off with the first guys, kind of a little bit of a proposal here. But for Josh Hader going to the Braves, what we're thinking is it would be 1 to 2 of these guys, and if it's only 1, there will also be mid to low level prospects involved. Braves fans, let me know what you think. Let me know if this is an overpay on your end, but you got to keep in mind, Josh Hader sitting like a 1.1 ERA, and he is Josh Hader. If you're trying to win a championship, this is the guy you go after. I think the Braves make the most sense. I don't think he's super expensive, but I think it would be one of their starting pitchers, young, kind of in the minors, kind of in the pros. One of these guys of either Soroka, Schuster, or Smith-Shawver. 2 of those guys are prospects. Soroka's been in the league a little bit. He's kind of struggled. None of them really have any super impressive numbers, but they're all guys that the Padres would bank on kind of being able to turn around and develop. And then the bat that I think could be involved would be Vaughn Grissom. He would immediately come up and probably be the Padres DH. He's not a very good fielder, but he's an excellent hitter. I think it would be 1 to 2 of those guys. And if it's only 1, it's going to be another mid-low level prospect in their system. These guys are people that could make an impact either right away, like Grissom, or someone else. But Isaac, do you think this is an overpay? Do you think the Padres aren't getting enough? I mean, as a Padres fan, I think it makes a lot of sense to trade Josh Hader where they're at. If I was a Braves fan, maybe you want to prospect hug a little bit, but I mean, if you're trading these guys, they're not going to help you win the championship this year. This could be the Braves' year. They're stacked. They are a really, really good team, and I think this puts them over the edge and makes them easily the best team in the league if they go and get the best closer in baseball. So, what do you think about those names, and what do you kind of think about a trade package around involving those guys?
Makes a lot of sense for the Braves. I mean, like you said, it could easily definitely make them probably the best team in baseball. I do think they're the best team in baseball already, but getting a closer and on a team that already wins a lot of games, you're going to be using him a lot. As far as the Padres go, I mean, it only makes sense for us to go after guys that are going to be ready, hopefully next year, are going to contribute next year, because just because we're not competing right now doesn't mean we don't think we'll be competing next year. And that's the thing with the Padres. The only guy I really feel like if we aren't in it by the deadline has to be sold is Josh Hader. Because you're not winning a lot, clearly, if you're selling at the deadline. You're losing a lot. You're probably going to be losing more in the future. You're not going to be using him a lot. So I feel like the only guy that would make sense is Josh Hader. And looking at teams that could give us what we want, we just think the Braves or the Rangers makes the most sense because they have pitchers that could be ready by next year, that could be contributing by next year. And that's what we need. We're going to be losing Blake Snell potentially, Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo. I think they're around for another year, but I mean, shoot, even they could be dealt, Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo. So we're going to need some more pitchers, and we don't just want guys that are going to be on expensive contracts. Yu Darvish is getting paid over 20, I believe. Joe Musgrove is getting paid 20. Blake Snell right now costs a pretty penny. We want guys that are going to be controllable and cheap for the near future, and I think these two teams provide us that ability to be able to develop a guy that can be a plug and play in our rotation, whether it be as a number 3, number 4, hopefully a number 2, hopefully a number 1. But they make the most sense. I know Braves fans probably think Smith-Shawver is a huge overpay. I get it. He's valued really high on baseball trade values if you want to go based off that. But you're getting the best closer in baseball. He has a 1.1 ERA. You can probably extend him next year if you really want to. You're going to be using him a lot. There's not another reliever on the market that is like Josh Hader. Last year we had to give up a top 10 prospect, Taylor Rogers. What was that?
In our system, not in the league.
In our system, yeah, not in the league. A top 10 prospect in our system. I forgot. I know Taylor Rogers, Denelson Lamet. We gave up a decent
Ruiz too, right?
Esteury Ruiz, yeah. So we gave up. Honestly, we didn't give up that much. I feel like at the time it felt like a lot, but looking back at it, like really the only guy that's left on their team is Taylor Rogers. So we definitely won that deal, but we're looking at it from a perspective where the Padres could have the ability to take over the deadline with the best closer in baseball, one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, and although I doubt it, Juan Soto. So as far as the teams that we've mentioned and the names that we've mentioned, like the Braves, Soroka, Smith-Shawver, I mean, they make the most sense because they could pitch for us by next year.
Yeah, and I mean, you brought up that it would be kind of a lot. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy. And the reason why I don't think it's that crazy is like you look at the other team that we brought up, the Rangers. So if you're looking at it from the Rangers side, you're probably going to give up I feel like these guys are they're not like the highest end prospects. You know what I mean? Like none of these guys are going to be like the most high end prospects, but it's like they're top 100 guys. They're pretty good if you want to trade. Because the thing is, the Padres also aren't in a spot right now. And we're saying this kind of bring up that we think it makes sense to trade Josh Hader, but like if you're the Braves and you offer the Padres a deal and it's like the Padres take it as a low ball, they're just not going to go through with the trade. That's the thing. So if the Braves really want to go get Josh Hader, they're probably going to have to overpay a little bit. Why? Because he's that good. Because you're going after a premium player. You're not going after, some random guy. You're going after Josh Hader, man. So I think if it's the Rangers, we talked about a few guys for them. The guy that we like the most, of course, the name, he's exciting, Jack Leiter. I feel like that's a given when you're talking about the Rangers. But they also got some other pretty good players here as well. Owen White, he's a pitcher. They got Ronald Acuna's a little brother who does not profile to be Ronald Acuna. So it's not like you're trading for Ronald Acuna, but Luis Angel Acuna. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. And then Brock Porter, another pitcher. He's a little bit younger, but with Owen White, he's in AAA right now. He's doing pretty good. Jack Leiter, he's struggled up to this point. He has not been good. He's in AA. So that's a name where the Padres would potentially trade, half a year Hader and try to get him and make something work. I think it makes sense. You look at the Padres trade last year; they traded Robert Gasser. It was Robert Gasser, right, for Hader? That was that deal. Sorry, there's a lot of them from last year. It's hard to keep track, but it's a kind of a similar situation where Robert Gasser was a little bit younger. So I feel like that would be a more comparable player to Brock Porter. Where he's an A-ball, he's looking pretty good, stuff like that. So I think you're doing the same kind of thing. It would probably be 1 to 2 of those guys. And if it's one, it's one of their other kind of mid to low level prospects as well, or maybe a couple of those guys, similar to how the Padres did it. Maybe you throw in a different bullpen arm and the price goes down. You don't have to give up one of these higher end prospects for both of these teams. But those are the names that I think of too. And I think if you're going to be dealing Hader, you're probably going to be trying to get starting pitching if you're the Padres. It's a little bit less likely to go after a bat. The reason I brought up the Braves for Grissom is that the Padres DH is hitting under 700 OPS, that position all season long. That's a disaster. He's an immediate huge upgrade and he can be a starter for future years. You have some control. So I think it'd be great for them to do that. But I mean, what do you think about the Rangers, man? Do you think this could be a situation where it's kind of because all these prospects that we just named, they're all around the same kind of grade, same kind of spot. The Braves guys, I feel are a little bit older, and they're some of them have already pitched in the league and stuff. Soroka struggled and stuff, but reclamation project with him, right? Reclamation project with Jack Leiter. I think it's very interesting, but I think that's what the Padres would be looking for in a Josh Hader deal, just because a closing pitcher doesn't have crazy value. So what do you think about the Rangers guys and the overall kind of like move from the Padres side to kind of almost sell a Hader to try to get like a steal in one of these guys, right? Like get the guy to work out the starter, have Ruben Niebla come in and kind of fix him up, and all of a sudden he looks way better. Like, do you think that is the move for the Padres side?
Of course. I mean, it seems like it kind of has to be. That's why I like the Braves and Rangers so much. I honestly like the Rangers as a trade partner more than I like the Braves. I know people would probably say, like, why would they want Hader if they just got Chapman? Chapman hasn't been closing for them. He's mostly been pitching probably as a setup man. So he only has 1 save and 6 appearances with them. So that's why, I mean, we say he hasn't been closing for them. Jack Leiter makes a lot of sense. He was a number 2 overall pick from Vanderbilt not that long ago. And I honestly think that we could make him a good starter next year. And that's the thing with all these guys that we bring up is they're all guys that could be starters next year. And if they don't do good next year, they could be starters the following year. Like we're trying to make a rotation of at least 1 or 2 guys that are cheap and have control and can become, if not aces, then at least number 3 in our rotation. That's our hope, because these past few years we just had to keep buying pitching. It was Mike Clevenger, Sean Manaea, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Blake Snell. The only guy out of our system that's been pitching, I mean, it was Ryan Weathers, but also Mackenzie Gore. Those are the only guys that we've brought up to be starters, former top prospects in our system. But we want more. We want guys that are. Mackenzie Gore looked fantastic in his time with the Padres. Outside of maybe last 2-3 starts, he looked great. And we're hoping that Leiter can. I know he's kind of a reclamation project. He hasn't been great lately, but I think he'd be good for us. Even Brock Porter as well. I think he'd be good for us. I mean, these are guys that we want to plug in our rotation. And for Leiter and Porter, we understand it would probably cost Snell more than Hader. I think either way we should get one. But those are going to be the 2 ideal trade partners for Snell and Hader. Snell, obviously, with the Rangers, we can get Leiter and maybe a mid-level prospect, if not 2. Hader, probably just one of them, and a low-end prospect, something like that. And I'm thinking like bare minimum. But Snell also makes sense for like the Orioles. That's basically it, actually, the Orioles.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to kind of be it for this one. You brought up that the Rangers are also a team that would be interested in Snell. That's going to be more expensive than trading for Josh Hader, but we are going to bring up the Rangers tomorrow as well. So we'll get into Blake Snell tomorrow, but I think that's probably going to do it. Let us know what you think. Padres fans, Braves fans, Rangers fans, maybe some Rays fans tune in because we're going to include them up there. But, and maybe you're not any one of these teams, and you're a fan of a different team and you think that Josh Hader could be, a potential trade candidate for your team. But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about these potential trade packages, and kind of your own overall thoughts and like what you think the trade would look like as well. And also, especially for Padres fans, like let us know, like, what do you think about trading Hader? Do you think it's smart? Do you think it's stupid? Do you think selling's stupid in general? Let us know. So I think it's going to do it, but thank you all and we'll talk to you tomorrow.